I'm the original. Yeah, like I can like shake hands with Gen X, no problem.
Wait,
I'm
Raul,
a
you're 22.
zillennial, so
I am 23. Thank you.
Wow, you're a
I'm
handsome
not
chap.
23. Get the fuck out of
You're
here.
not.
When did you start losing hair then? At 15?
In my early in my
Hello,
early
pattern
30s.
barnless.
Before that, I had long hair. Down
Went
the
to
hip.
a scary barn and someone
Dude.
scared out of him. I don't know.
I've
I
seen
did,
pictures
but I
of
had
his
too much
mullet.
testosterone for my hair, so I scared it off.
Do you agree that this generation is lazy
What
compared
generation?
to the older generation?
Which generation?
Millennials and down.
I don't
Okay,
think
so
so.
is there any millennials in this chat first?
Like that, like the bottom millennials, not the elderly millennials. The
I'm
younger millennials.
I'm actually not a millennial, so
Are you
I'm
not?
actually one of the older millennials, so I'm not as good.
The elderly.
elderly
She said
millennial.
the elderly millennials.
Not the
I'm
elderly.
I am
saying one of the
elderly.
original millennials.
Hey, Char, can you help me out
The
here,
OG,
please? I
the
think
00.
I'm the original. Yeah, like I can like shake hands with Gen X, no problem.
Wait,
I'm
Raul,
a
you're 22.
zillennial, so
I am 23. Thank you.
Wow, you're a
I'm
handsome
not
chap.
23. Get the fuck out of
You're
here.
not.
When did you start losing hair then? At 15?
In my early
Hello, pattern
30s.
barnless.
Before that, I had long hair. Down the
Went
hip.
to a scary barn and someone
Dude.
scared out of him. I don't know.
I've
I
seen
did,
pictures
but I
of
had
his
too much
mullet.
testosterone for my hair, so I scared it off.
How come guys
It
lose
happened
hair
at
in their
prom.
head but not on their face? What's up with that?
Honestly, it's the amount of
Yeah.
testosterone you produce has an afterchemical that kills the follicles in your hair cells and makes them stop growing new ones. But it doesn't work on your face, your hair, your arms. It's just the top of your head because God's got a sense of humor. That's what.
I was gonna say something really embarrassing about myself, but that explains a lot.
That's really how it goes. So I was too much man for my hair.
He's the opposite.
He got
Alex
the
is the opposite, you see.
He got the peach fuzz going on over there.
No,
He's
You
really
cannot have it
trying.
all.
No,
You just cannot have it all. That's it. You can't have it all.
So it's a trade-off then.
I would rather have that.
To answer your question, Kelly, if I may, I would say, I think
Yeah, because this panel keeps
maybe
going on.
the,
topic.
maybe the
Thank you
word
for-
maybe
thank
the
you.
word I will go with the word lazy. However, I just people don't like, and yeah, that's what it is. It's they don't want to put the effort. They don't understand that everything is not that easy because they got like, oh, you know what, information is out there. I don't need to read anymore. I just get it done. You know, like they don't want to put the effort into doing anything anymore. Everything
yeah.
is just given so easily.
I think
But
we
I don't
have to
want to say
specify
everybody.
a little bit about
not everybody.
in what sorts of the of laziness do we consider? Because
True.
I'm right there in the zillennial, I guess. I'm like half Gen Z, half millennial. So I don't consider myself lazy at all in any sorts of the word lazy. And I'm part of, I guess I'm part of both of the generations. I do think that maybe the new generation have understood, or I don't want to say understood. Yeah, understood that they don't need to take shit from anyone. A lot of people in the past would just sit down and take it. Didn't matter what it was or however it was. A lot of people nowadays would speak their mind about whatever topic it is. If it's about sexuality, gender, abortion, whatever it is, they would just speak their mind. And the same thing happens when it comes to work and stuff like that. So you're not going to see a 19-year-old go to a job and be harassed or mistreated by a manager, because the next day they will just not show up to work. And I don't think it's because they're lazy. I just think that they just most of them don't want to stay there and take shit from people.
That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense.
I think I do agree with Brian. I think a lot of it is instant gratification. It's not as how it used to be where, we put in the hard work, you get the good money back. But here now we realize that we can make money from home. right? We don't have to, like you said, we don't have to take shit for anybody. We can speak our mind. It's not politically correct, right? We don't have to be like, oh, watch our mouth or whatever. Yes, it is a little toxic, because then the respect for elderly, kind of like how we kind of grew up to respect the elderly, goes out the window. But I realize they're not as bad, where the Gen Zs, they're realizing, hey, there's other ways to make money. I can make money online. I don't have to work for anybody. There's so many like young entrepreneurs, and I love seeing that. And I think back in the day, we didn't have that someone to look up to, or someone to see like, hey, you know what, there's this avenue to take other than
This is
just going to
possible.
school. Right.
Mhm.
Just going to school and like have a career, and that's where you make money. We're realizing that, hey, it was all a scam, basically, right? Like that's what they see it as, which can also be a toxic thing, because then they're throwing college away. Like education, it wasn't just for making money. It was also like discipline. It taught us to study, taught us to research. But nowadays they're just like, you know what, I don't need to go to school. I can just make money, make more than my mom ever made, and get out from wherever I am at. I can buy my mom a house at 25. Whereas now, like, so yeah, I wouldn't say lazy. I just would say like instant gratification, smarter way to do things, more technologically inclined. We're in the middle. We're in the cusp. We're before the analog. We're after the analog generation, and like kind of like in the middle of digital and analog, right? So I think we have the benefit of both. But yeah, I hope that helps. Thanks.
No, I appreciate it. That was actually an excellent answer. Chanel, you look like you want to say something.
I
You're
do.
not on mic. Okay.
I do. I do agree that they are different thinkers. They're not afraid to ask questions. They're not afraid to ask the why. And they think out the box. They're more creative than we would be. Sometimes I'm talking to my nieces or my nephews, and I'm like, that's an interesting perspective. I never thought about it. So I think our definition of lazy or hard work is different from theirs. I mean, it's the millennials and the Gen Zers that I feel has started a lot of the different movements in our country, with the different protests and so forth that has happened. It's because they didn't want to take it. They're like, no, this is not right, and we're going to do something about it. And then they mobilize and they do something about it. So I think they're different. I may not agree with everything that, the way that they think, but they definitely find a way to get things done.
Everyone has to evolve at some point, so it can't just stay at the same and keep flatlining, because we're not going to get anywhere. If it would have flatlined from like a few generations back, we would still be dealing with slavery and still dealing with women not having any rights or anything like that.
So I guess when is the way we look at love and the way we look at that sort of thing going to evolve as well? Because we're applying a very, very dated mentality to a very, very updated way of living. So I think things are in a very, very difficult state because of that.
What do you mean? Can you further elaborate?
So the way, I don't think because we're stuck in a weird generation gap. There's so the age gaps between and everything in the middle. We're in a bit of a messed up world. I'm not in that's a lame way of saying it. There are people out there that can probably explain it a lot better than me. But I guess we're living in a state where most people believe in a certain way of being, but it's not that way anymore. But we're still applying that mindset to this lifestyle.
Right. So
the mindset needs to have changed. Yeah. We there's a lot of the reason what prompted this is Brian saying evolution. Like the world needs to completely evolve, and I believe COVID is probably one of the triggers for that to start happening, and the world,
In your opinion, how should
Sorry.
that look? That evolution of relationship. What should that look like now?
I guess just everything just needs to be a lot more open, because the evolution is more devolution. I don't believe one person should bring up a child. I don't believe that at all. I believe a community brings up a child, and if that child fails, the community's failed that child. But that's not the way of life anymore. That life is gone. That's just it's sad, or you don't find it as much. I think, unless nothing's going to change unless we change the way we're bringing our kids up. Because the world is the way we've been brought up is okay, yeah, and it works, but it doesn't work. So the world needs to evolve, and you're not going to evolve that without evolving this, and you won't evolve this by not teaching it young enough. Does that make sense, or do I need to elaborate more? I'm sorry.
No,
guys.
I get
that makes
what
sense.
you're saying. I get what you're saying.
You guys can
Alan,
run with
but-
this, and you can probably there might be greater minds here than me that can pick it apart. But what I'm trying to say is we are limited at the moment, and I think it just the world is advancing now a little bit too fast. Does that make sense? And we actually aren't keeping up, and we're living very dated. Does that make sense? We're applying.
Right. I
Yeah,
think
'cause-
what you're trying to say, what I'm trying to kind of decipher what you're trying to say.
Sorry,
is like,
thank you.
no, that's fine. No, it's like we're stuck in between the old thinkers and the new thinkers,
Yeah.
right? So we're trying to kind of like shift over to like, where do we go? Like, where do we fit in here, right? Do I progress, like have this progressive view, but we also kind of like program from a very young age to think a certain way, like our parents did, and like how their parents did. But now we have a term now called breaking the generational curse.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
now where the Gen Zs are like, no, we're breaking the curse, and that's that. Now we're kind of like tiptoeing around it. So I think what Brian's saying is like we need to evolve mentally, right? We need to progressive,
Level
like
up.
progression. It's a progressive thing that we have to do, but we have to do it, intentionally and mindfully, right? And I mean, a lot of us, some people don't want to change, and we can't force them to. Everybody has their subjective views. Everybody's views are subjective, unless you have a whole lot of, peer studies done, and, it's an objective view. Like all the views that people have is subjective, but to them, it's objective, right? So we have to understand that's their belief. And a lot of people, I think, like we're so stuck on debating our point of view, not really listening to the other person and saying, hey, you know what, this person can also be right. I could be right. They could be right. What's knowledge? Knowledge is subjective to me, right? That I think of. But anyway, I hope that.
No, I agree with that, and I appreciate, and that's actually the reason why I decided to come up with a panel, a diverse panel, because I wanted to have different views and different perspectives. Because if you have your little world and your few friends, then you're going to be small thinkers. When you get outside that box and you talk to different people from different cultures and different religions and different backgrounds, you get a wider perspective and different worldviews, and it could change your mind about things you didn't even know you thought a certain way about a thing until you have a conversation about it. So I find that I am a lot of my friends, I have a lot of friends that are outside of my race, and I find that I'm their only Black friend, and they'll ask me questions, and I'm like, have you never heard this before? And they're like, no. It's like, you're the only friend I have that's Black. And so I'm like, okay, well, whatever question you have, feel free to ask me. I'm open to having these conversations, because I want you to understand. I want you to know my perspective. I don't want you to see something on television and think that's just the way Black people are. Let's have this conversation. I don't want you to believe propaganda. I'd like you to be able to open up and have a forum. So that was the whole reason for the panel. So I'm glad. I feel like it's working out wonderfully.
I think we see. Sorry. I think we see a lot of clash right now between the different generations, because people are living a lot longer, and it's just a fact. A lot of older people are so.
Old people need to. Are you saying they need to kick the bucket? Is that
No.
No, not at all.
No.
They need to keep living. They just need to work longer, unfortunately, nowadays. That's just the way the world's going.
No, no, no. I don't think that people just need to die, but you know, uh, a lot of them were raised with very different mindsets than the kids that are being born today, and that are the ones that are inheriting this world.